Hey y'all, Lady Prepper coming at you today. I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. Come on back. Okay, here we go. We're going to dehydrate eggs today, and I thought that would be something that would be really hard to do, but I found out from watching some videos, and I got to give a shout out to a Facebook group I follow called the Dehydrating Rebels. I saw some on there, and it was just easy, and I gave it a shot. So I want to share with you what I did. First of all, the price of eggs. We all know how much they've gone up. And I'm lucky here in Orlando, and I know you might not be as lucky depending on where you are, but we have these Sunshine State cage-free eggs, and I got these for $3.39 a dozen. When I went online, I'm going to use my cheat sheet, I found Judy's eggs for $10 a dozen, Augustin Farms for $15 a dozen, and Mountain Essentials for $12.37 a dozen powdered eggs. And it just made sense to me, worth my time, to be able to do a dozen eggs for $3.39. So that's what we're going to do. All right, the first step is when you get your hydrator set up, I'm going to give you a link to this. These hydrators come, this particular one came with what they call the leather, to make fruit leather, these little trays. They came with only 2 of them, so I had to order 4 more to fill up my whole tray. And we'll put a link to those on the bottom. The first thing that I did, that I made a mistake when I did it the first time, I didn't level this and make sure it was level. I may have had a tray wonky, so I just got my level out and I made sure that I'm good and level before I got started, because your eggs are liquid when they go in there. If it's not level, they're going to go all the side and it's a mess. So if you do that first, you're going to be good to go. I've already filled all the eggs in every tray but the top one, so I'm just going to show you what I did. If you don't have a blender, you can do this with a fork really good, but you want to get them mixed up really tight, because you want the egg whites and the yellows to be mixed really well together. Okay, here we go. Yes, there's an edit here. You caught me. Dropped an egg right in there. So let's try this again. This is egg number 3. Okay. I found out that I could fit 3 eggs on each of my trays, so that's why I did them separately like this, so I didn't have to try to measure it out. Again, you can stir this with... That's all it takes. Pulsing it good, and it gets it good and mixed up. Okay. Fill up this last tray. You just go around, get it all in there good. Get it on there as evenly as you can. Oh, there's Tucker in the background, making his voice heard. And then I just tip it a little bit just to get it so it's all the way around the edge. So there you go. So now this is going to be ready to go. I'm going to be setting this on 135 degrees for 10 hours. You don't want to go above that, because at 140 degrees, the whites will start to cook, and you don't want to cook the eggs. You're only trying to dehydrate them, get the water out of them. So it's important not to go up to the 140 degree mark. Your investment in the dehydrator beyond this is really fun, because a couple of other things before we go, because we're going to have to leave and let this cook, is we did onions that took probably 5 hours maybe, and the whole house smelled like onions. You might want to do that on the back porch. Same thing with this. The peppers were very pungent when they were cooking. This is 18 peppers in a quart jar. And you can put these into stews or into stir fries or anything you want to make later. So there's a lot of things you can do with the dehydrator, and that's just only 3 things right there. So we're going to let this do its magic for 10 hours, and then we'll come back and finish the process. Hey everybody. Okay, here we go. Our eggs have been in the dehydrator for about 10 hours. Did a couple steps ahead so we could make this not last quite as long. The thing you do next, you just take it off, and all the eggs, as you can see, they turn kind of a bright orange, and they get all crumbly. And that's exactly the way you want it to be when you take it out of your dehydrator. So I left one to show you. It's kind of messy sometimes, and what I figured out is using a spatula and kind of corralling all of the crumbs into a larger bowl seems to keep the crumbs from falling out onto the ground, which is not where you want them. You worked hard to dehydrate these eggs, so we want to keep them in the bowl. So there you go. When you're done, you'll see that there's a little bit of a residue on these. It's like a kind of greasy. I don't know if it's oil or what, but anyway, you just wipe it off with a paper towel. Put it back in your thing. So now we're ready to go. The next step is you need a little coffee grinder or some kind of a grinder. You might have something different. This is just a simple tiny coffee grinder that I've had for years. I've used it for any kind of dehydrating. Just put a spoonful of this in there. You can fill it up as high as you can get it. Do one for demonstration purposes and show you how it turns out. My little thing broke off, so yeah, I need a new one. I'll put that on my Santa list. And there it goes. Doesn't take long and you're ready, good to go. As you can see, we've got dehydrated eggs. Next step you're going to do is come back over here, spread these out. You got to go back in to make sure they're good and dry. So I'm going to do that to all of this bowl, put them back in here, and I'm going to set this again for 135, and I'm going to put it on for 2 hours to make sure they're good and dry before I put them in my jar. When I get done, they're going to go back into this jar. This is just a quart jar with an absorber to make sure that they stay dry. And again, if you'll remember this little gadget I've got that is awesome, takes the air right out. You can tell that it's done when the pump starts getting a little tight and it's got to pop. So you know your air's out. Take that off. And the pop's gone down, so you know it's sealed. And those are good to go for long-term storage. So there you go. That is how simple this is. Now we're going to test our product. We're just going to test the product. This is 1 tablespoon of egg powder to 2 tablespoons of water. I let this set for just a couple of minutes. I just stirred it up right before we started the video, so it hasn't been long. Just put it in. It's really, it doesn't stir up exactly like scrambled eggs, but it does come out tasty, and it's all yellow. It's like bright yellow, where scrambled eggs has a little bit of a, excuse me, a little bit of white in it. This doesn't so much. So this is not going to take long because it's going to get hot really quick. We tried this yesterday in our test run, and it was yummy. Can't tell the difference. So consistency is a little bit different than scrambled eggs, but if you can't get eggs and you want eggs for breakfast, this stuff's perfect. As you can see, it's starting to egg up just like it would if you were doing scrambled eggs. So it does get a little crumbly looking. A lot of times when you do dehydrated things or you can things, the texture or the look of them are a little bit different than what we've been used to our whole lives, and you kind of have a weird like, yeah, I don't want to try that. But this is not the case with the eggs. So there you go. Little salt and pepper, and you got breakfast when you can't get eggs. Let's give them a taste. All right, I'm going to put them right here in the pan. Here we go. Add a little salt and pepper. All right, let's see what we got here. Again, the texture looks a little weird. Exactly like a scrambled egg that I made yesterday from a fresh egg out of the refrigerator. So you guys, this works. In a case where you don't have eggs, this is a great alternative. And they're really expensive right now, and they're not going to do anything but go up from what we see. So if you find this interesting, I hope you do. Hope you give it a try. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. I hope we help you with our videos. You guys have a great day. The Lady Prepper is out.